Blog Talk Radio.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Jets Radio. This is your host, Tyson Roush, and this is the fan series. This is all about the fans, talking about the past, the present, the future, Jamal Adams, Adam Gase, Sam Darnold, you name it, we talk about it. Just trying to have fun. If you want to be on here, all you got to do is direct message us or, email us, whatever you want. We're on Instagram, Twitter, @TalkJetsRadio. We're on YouTube, Let's Talk Jets Radio. And simple as that, just fans talking football. So we're going to bring on Dan Moskow. Dan, what's up? It's Tyson. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
So, Dan, let's start all the way at the beginning of your let's start here with what made you a Jets fan? How did this all come about?
It has to go back, like so many other people, to my father, who's not a big football fan, but I always loved football, and he would go to Jets games with his buddies and my cousin, who was older than me. And in fact, he was at the 1968 AFL Championship game against the Raiders. And I guess when I was probably about, 4, whenever it was that he didn't have to change a diaper or worry about me, he would take me to a few Jets games per year, and I'd go see, Namath, a rundown Namath, but Joe Namath, and he was like God to me. And used to go out to Shea Stadium and watch games. And I remember personally, at 6 years old, I was at the game where O.J. Simpson went over 2,000 yards in a game, and I just remember going there with my dad and just being able to see Joe. The team was horrible by then. Joe's knees were shot, but I loved going out there, and I loved football, and became a Jets fan.
Okay, so you have a long history, which is good. Now, who are some of your favorite players over the years?
Of course, like I said, Joe Namath. Going back, I remember Richie Castor, number 88, John Riggins when he was a Jet, and then the rest of the 70s is sort of a blur. They were so bad. In the 80s, guys like Gastineau, Klecko, whole New York Sack Exchange, the Mickey Schulers, and then you have the Curtis Martin. The 90s were good. We had Curtis Martin, Vinny Testaverde, the receivers, Lavonius Coles, Santana Moss, and then we got on to the 2000s, and I guess who are my favorite players? In the 2000s, we got Sean Ellis, Darrelle Revis, and pickings are actually pretty slim right now.
Yeah,
they seem to come and go so fast.
So now you've been to. I assume you went to Shea, and you've been to Giant Stadium. Have you been to MetLife as well?
I've never been to MetLife.
You're not missing much.
We moved out in New York. We moved out in New York in early 80s, late 70s, and I've gone to a lot of road games. I lived down in L.A. I went to a lot of games in L.A. against the Raiders when they were there, and against the Rams, and then went to college and lived up until 2 years ago up in the Bay Area. And would go to Raider games. They moved back, and Niner games when they played the Niners every, whatever it was, 4 or 5 years. So yeah, haven't been to MetLife. Pretty much my going to New York Jets games in New York ended in the early 80s when they left Shea.
And how did you like Shea, man? As opposed, to me, Shea was just awesome. It was just rowdy and just hardcore. And how did you like Shea Stadium, like the old school with the Jets?
I loved it. I didn't like the weather. That open end of the stadium If you sat in the open end of the stadium, you were frigid, especially some of those late November, December games. In fact, I was lucky enough to at Super Bowl 50, which was in San Francisco, me and a few friends and our wives got to go to a small little meet and greet through I think it was Chase Bank, and I got to a little meet and greet with Joe Namath and got our pictures taken with him, and I went to tell him it was the coldest game I ever went to, and he stopped me and he said, "I'll tell you what the coldest game you ever went to was." And he said 1973, OJ went over 2,000 yards, and it was in the middle of December, and it was frigid. And he mentioned it. That day, it seemed like OJ was the only player that was wearing cleats. He said he was running wild on him. But if you've never met Joe Namath, you should hopefully get a chance, because he's a really, really charming guy.
No, I've talked to him a couple times, man. He's so personable. He's so friendly. He loves the fans, man. He could just sit and talk, and he's super, super down to earth, which is cool. What are some of, are there any games that really stick out in your mind, like your favorite Jet games?
Let's see. So, like I said, there was nothing really good in the 70s. 1982, I went to the L.A. Coliseum, I think it was 82, and saw the Jets beat Oakland. Wesley Walker caught a ball up down the middle for a touchdown, and they won. I think it was 17-14. And then, of course, the Mud Bowl is the next week, and that ended that season. But that was a great game. I think one of the toughest games I ever had to go see was the Jets up in San Francisco with Garrison Hurst. I don't know if he ran 99 or 94 yards in overtime.
Oh, in overtime. I remember that. That's when Glenn Foley was quarterback. That was trying to think when that was. Early 90s, maybe. That was 98, wasn't it? 90. It was Eddie back there because it was Foley. Right. Yeah. Yep.
That was the second game of '98, and then it's when they went on that run, and then of course that ended in Denver. But yeah, that was. Memorable games I've been watched on TV. Obviously, in 2011 beating the Patriots, the can't wait game. Let's see that one. The regular season in 2015, Decker catching the ball, corner of the end zone in overtime. Mostly it's the games against the Patriots. Most of my most memorable games, though, that seem to stick with me are the terrible losses, unfortunately.
Yep.
And not the wins. I guess it hurts more to lose than it feels good to win. I don't know.
Well, I think because the Jets find ways to lose in embarrassing fashions or epic fashions or just headline fashions, and that kind of always sticks in your mind. It's always so just heartbreaking. Now, you have an interesting perspective because you've seen a lot of great players in your time. Now, you mentioned Wesley Walker, and there's a lot of arguments who's the best receiver in Jets history. You have Wesley Walker, you have Al Toon, you have all these guys. Who is it in your opinion?
That I've seen,
yep.
In my opinion, in my era would be Wesley Walker and Wayne Corbett. Those were the two that were there for a long time, that seemed to always show up, always made the important catch. Never had some spectacular catches, but I also on the tight end, Dustin Keller was, to me, he was money. I forget the game, but I think they went to him on one drive 4, 5, 6 times, and it was always of course it was third and long. We're always third and long, but he would come up with these catches time after time after time. But those two in particular, Wesley Walker, Wayne Corbett, and then, of course, I don't really remember them, but if you just look at the stats and you look at the film, Don Maynard obviously is the best wide receiver the Jets has ever had.
Now, you've seen also a lot of great running backs. So, I mean, you can go from Freeman McNeil, Curtis Martin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've had a ton of them. Who do you think would be the best running back you've seen for the Jets?
Curtis Martin. Freeman was great. Freeman McNeil was a great running back, but Curtis Martin was by far the best running back. And I guess this week it came out that he played most of the season with a torn MCL when he rushed for, 1,500 yards or whatever.
Yep.
He showed up to play every game and gave you all he had every game. When I was a kid, Riggins was really good.
Yep.
But
yeah, I mean, they've had a bunch
Curtis
of guys,
Martin.
man. They've had Thomas Jones. I mean, they've had a litany of really good running backs over the years.
I love Thomas Jones. He was perfect for ground and pound. Just, basically, five linemen, put a body on a body, and just run them behind them with a fullback. In fact, I kind of would like to see that now. Get a fullback, man block, and run the ball behind him, up behind the big guys.
So what? And this is an interesting question because I have my opinion about it. I'm dying to hear yours. What are your thoughts, taking the Dan Marino aspect out of it? What were your thoughts on Kenny OBrien?
Okay, you have to preface that by saying the Dan Marino aspect. Kenny OBrien, very, very talented. Could throw the long ball. He was running for his life constantly. That guy spent more time on his back than he did his feet.
He used to take hellacious hits, man. Hellacious hits. He used to get smoked back there.
Oh, he was destroyed. I'm actually shocked he played as long as he did. And that's like kind of like. And then they had Pennington, who I love. I thought he was one of the smartest quarterbacks. I thought he was going to be great. I mean, I'd seen him play on TV when he was at Marshall, and once again, he just got injured and they gave up on him for 8, 9 games of Brett Favre. And
then he got hurt.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to laugh. But if you look at the history of the Jets, when they've had a solid O-line, and not what people are looking at now, where okay, we just drafted a kid, he's huge, he's like a globe, he could be great, and maybe a Doga becomes a decent right tackle, and then McGovern seems to be a solid center, but what worries me is we just journeyman guards up the middle, and I saw some hits Sam has taken the last 2 years, and I was shocked he got up.
Yep, and that's to be honest with you, that's why I asked you the question, man. Because if you look at Jets history, it's like Kenny OBrien took an ass beating. Chad Pennington would get smoked and hurt his shoulder. Brett Favre got hurt for that reason. But then you look at Sam Darnold last year. Actually, his first dude, he's getting the shit kicked out of him, and you're like, the last thing we need is this kid to be injury riddled and getting happy feet and getting scared. Like, he's young in his career where he's very impressionable, and that's the worry right now.
Yeah, and you saw it last year. I mean, the one thing he changed, his footwork went a little crazy. He was throwing off his back foot. I think it was his first game back was Dallas last year, right?
Yep.
And he came back against Dallas after the mono, and it was early on, and I don't know who it was on Dallas, but I don't even think this guy was blocked. And he came and he hit Sam on the blind side, and I thought that was it. This kid, he's not getting up. And if you look at the history of the Jets, I mean, Mark Sanchez. Remember, I was living in California, and I lived some time in Southern California, more time in Northern California, but have a lot of relatives and nieces and nephews that went to USC. I go to a lot of USC football games. So I've seen Sanchez and I've seen Darnold. If Sanchez, Darnold is so much better of a quarterback than Sanchez ever was. Now you take Sam Darnold and put him with that O-line we had, during Sanchez's first 2 years.
Yep.
And give him a number one and number two receiver and a running game so they can run play action, which is another thing I don't understand why we never run play action, maybe because we can't run the ball. But Sam Darnold is so much better than Sanchez, and Sanchez got us to 2 championship games.
And see, but that's the whole thing, Dan. This is why I get in arguments all the time, because I'm like, you look at how this team has built around Sam Darnold, and I don't get the whole warm and fuzzy feeling. I get nervous about it because they're not doing it the right way, and they're doing it they did it half-ass, and now this year they're putting kind of Band-Aids on certain things and kind of crossing their fingers in certain areas, which to me is not ideal. And now you start to worry a little bit. Like, you can't have another year of this. Like, he can't go through year 3 just running for his life, receivers not getting open, taking terrible hits, taking terrible sacks. Like you start getting a little nervous about it now.
Yeah, and I am nervous for him, and I'm also nervous because even if the O-line can run block, I keep hearing from all the analysts, I'm sure you hear the same thing, about how our line is full of really good run blockers, but they've got to work on pass blocking. Not just the rookie, but even the interior guys seem to be known as better run blockers. Yet, I don't know how committed our offensive coaching staff is to the run, and off a good running game comes play action, opens things up, and that worries me. I'm worrying that, just like I think Ken O'Brien was ruined. And he's a great analogy to right now, and I'm scared that they'll ruin Sam as well. I mean, how are we going to even – my other question is, how are we going to get – are we going to know what Sam is or what he can be at the end of this year?
We may not.
I don't know if we will.
That's the problem, man. Like that, and like people think like it's being negative. It's just being realistic. And the same exact thing you're saying is – like, if you're an opposing team right now, if you're an opposing defense, what you're going to do is you're going to stack the box. You're going to challenge the line of scrimmage and say, we're going to dare Sam Darnold to beat us with these receivers if he can stay on his feet, because they're going to go after him. And if the guys are good against the run, they can't stop. If they're like kind of rough and pass blocking, we're in the same spot we were last year. Like it's it's crazy.
And I'm glad you said it's not being negative or pessimistic, but it's being realistic, because I tell that to my friends in my old Jets group up in the Bay Area and my new Jets group here. They always tell me I'm too negative, and I just say I'm not negative. I'm being realistic. I've watched a lot of football, and so have they, but I just. Honestly, Tyson, the last year I went into a season that I was truly optimistic. Was going after 2015, going into 2016, and I felt like Charlie Brown trying to kick the field goal, and Ruthie pulls the ball out.
Yep.
It was
a disaster.
It was a total disaster, and so it's hard, I haven't been optimistic going into a season since, and I hope, I guess I'll stay that way. I want to be surprised, hey, this team's actually pretty good, instead of, okay, we're going to the playoffs this year, And after I see a quarter of football, I'm like, oh no.
Well, see, the thing is,
all over again.
But like I'm like you, and like I'm a longtime fan too. But the thing is, like the issues that we're seeing or being realistic about, we've seen in the past before. Like they're legitimate concerns. Like it's not they're not like it's not unfounded. Like listen, I've seen bad line play and what it does to a quarterback. We've seen Mark Sanchez get ruined.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Geno Smith fail. We've seen all the other quarterbacks. Pennington injuries. Brett Favre fell apart. Like we've seen what an offensive line how it can help you and how it can hurt you. You can also see when we don't give our quarterback wide receivers that are legitimate. Like Sanchez had all these quality guys, veteran guys, good route runners, all this. You start taking these guys away from him, and then what happened? Like the plan to build around your quarterback is not exactly being followed right now. And it's like when everybody's saying, "Well, he's still young." Yeah, this is when he's supposed to be learning the most. Like it's just I don't know, man.
Yeah, and Paul, I know sometimes you just gotta laugh or drink a lot, but or drink a lot and laugh. But the what I don't understand is it's almost like Mike McCagnon never planned to have a quarterback. Like he came in, but there might not be a quarterback in this draft that I'm going to take, but I'm going to build a line. I'm going to build a core of receivers that are going to be maybe 2-3 years ahead of the quarterback I draft. Imagine if they went and he drafted correctly, like with a team building in mind and not this, let's just take the best player available, and went and got, let's say in 2015 was his first draft. Let's say in 2015, 16, and 17. Within that draft, he drafted 1 or 2 linemen. May not necessarily have to be the first round, but second, third round, or second round he takes a wide receiver. Third round, of course, he would have to take the correct wide receiver, which he never did anyway. But just to be able to basically build a line and receivers in anticipation of someday getting a franchise quarterback. He'd be in a lot better shape.
Yep. No. Listen, man. That's where you see it, though. But you see it now, where it's like Joe Douglas is inheriting a team that had no depth at all. Like we were basically using free agents as our band-aid because our drafts were so horrible, and that's where it hurts you.
Exactly.
Now you got to pay. You have to pay for everything instead of having these rookie contracts where you could benefit from them. So. What do you think about Robbie Anderson and the Perryman? Like, would you have kept Robbie Anderson, or do you like Perryman as like an upgrade or a replacement?
Robbie, that's interesting. My friends will laugh when they hear this podcast because they always told me I was anti-Robbie Anderson, and I wasn't anti-Robbie Anderson. I just know Robbie Anderson is not a number 1 receiver. Not really even a 2 receiver, or maybe a 2B and a wide receiver 3. But, I thought for what the contract he signed, we could have signed him for that. I wouldn't have paid more than the money he's getting at Carolina. But I think once I heard Matt Rule was hired as a coach, I kind of thought, and Robbie was a free agent, he was going to go with Rule. Unless the Jets went and said, okay, you got 12, Garrett, you got 12 the first year, we'll give you 15. 15's high for him. But Perryman, I don't know. I mean, this is a weird off season. There's no way to build chemistry with him that I see right now. What was Tampa last 5 games, throwing the ball 50 times a game. He did well. Hey, if he could replicate those 5 games for a season, but that's asking a lot. I don't see a lot in this receiving core right now. I mean, you really don't want to put too much pressure on a rookie. most rookie wide receivers don't have great first years. It's like most rookie defensive linemen don't have great first years. I think I saw J.J. Watt had 4 or 5 sacks his rookie year. But rookies, you don't get a guy who comes in as rookie year all the time, that often and is a star. But the team still has a lot of holes, and that's why I was shocked. I was really shocked we didn't take another wide receiver in a wide receiver draft. I know I've just contradicted myself, but I'm looking forward to maybe mid-year this year and next year that if you had Mims and someone else and Crowder, and I don't know who they would have picked, but Brian Edwards was available.
There's a bunch of guys available. I mean, if you look at it, and that's the thing, and that's what it makes you crazy. Where it's like, listen, it's nice to have these stopgap guys, but ideally what you want is you want a group of players that grows together, and you're together for 4 or 5 years with Sam Darnold. So you draft Mims, you draft Brian Edwards or Chase Claypool or whoever it is, and then you say, okay, you guys go learn and grow for the next 3 years, and this is it. Week in and week out, year in and year out, you know who your guys are. Then you add in Crowder. It's like you see a plan. Right now, what's the plan? The plan is Mims. I mean, how many more years does Crowder have left? 2? And then what? It's just who's the other? It's like you and you kind of want to expedite this process. All right, give us building blocks now. We're in year 3 now, and he's gonna have a number 1 receiver to even get used to. It's crazy. How is this happening?
No, I honestly don't know how the formula has failed so many times with this team, yet they stick with the formula. I mean, it doesn't seem like we get a GM that hires a coach and they're there together. They've tried everything, like consultants, and then they've tried to do it themselves, and now we have a coach that brings in a GM, and it's I mean, there's got to be football people out there going. I mean, sometimes they honestly think if they just Jets are playing one big practical joke on all of us. Because my friends who are Jet fans, they see it. I listen to your show on Tuesdays. You and Joe see it. We all see what's going on. And we all see the madness. And the Johnsons don't.
They justify it. That's amazing. That's the amazing part of this. I don't understand. It's like the football gods are playing a practical joke on us, because I don't understand how this can actually keep going. I mean, Dan, look at last year. I mean, last year set me back, man. I try to stay somewhat reasonable. I'm it's just a game, and I gotta keep it real. But then it's when just at the start of it, when they fired McCagnon after the draft, I'm like, are you kidding me? And then the people are justifying it. I'm like, how in the frig can you justify this? This is ass backwards. And then you hired Joe Douglas, and the reporting structure doesn't change. So they have the coach and the general manager report to the owner, which is stupid. It never ends. And the wild thing to me is that people look at this. Some people look at this and say, this is cool. This is fine. This makes sense. How in the hell does this make sense? It hasn't made sense for years. And the results show it. The problems we have prove it.
I mean, I'm shocked they haven't come to the conclusion after I think it's about 20 years that they've owned the team. And they haven't come to the conclusion to, hire a team president to run the team, hire a general manager who hires a coach who reports to that GM, and stay out of it. Enjoy the game. Go to your luxury suite.
Yep.
Entertain your friends. Have a cocktail. Have your steak, whatever you have up there, and enjoy what the people you hired for a job to do. Have them do that job. I mean, other teams do it, and it works. And they're it's just beyond me. If you ran a company this way, they'd be bankrupt.
Yep.
It's bizarre. It's like we had an old term at a firm that I worked at for 20 years, a Wall Street firm. And when something seemed totally stupid to us, we call it fire, ready, aim. And that's what they seem to do. Fire, ready, aim. And, it just, I wanted McCagnon fired. I mean, I wanted him fired. But why would you let him draft and then sign these contracts? Which
$100 million in contracts.
Yeah, but now you've got a middle linebacker making $18 million a year. Now you've got a safety that says, well, he's making 18. I want more. Now he's no longer saying, I want to be the highest paid safety. He's saying, I want to be the highest paid player on the team. And Joe Douglas must be sitting here going, why should I have to pay for the McCagnon's a mistake. Not that C.J. Mosley's not a great player. He is. But is he worth $18 million?
Nope. Well, look at that. And you have that, and you had the Le'Veon Bell contract, another one that's just like great player, but we bid against ourselves. Nobody was paying him that money but us. And that's where McCagnon and Woody Johnson or Chris Johnson screwed up. It just makes no sense. But so you look at it now though, and it's like, okay, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it seems like the Jets, historically, the free agents have bid against themselves.
Yep.
And people ask all the time. If you just look at Twitter or you watch NFL Live or NFL Network, there's a reason the Jets are tied to every free agent, every disgruntled player, because the agents are putting it out there.
Yep.
Because McCagnon would go in and overpay by 20%. And they're just trying, that Logan Ryan thing. I'm sure his agent put that out there. I'm not 100%, but it seems like his agent put it out there. Our press ran with it. And suddenly we're signing this guy, and now he's nowhere to be found. But I think the Jets get used as a in negotiations with other teams because of what Tannenbaum used to pay and then what McCagnon paid, and I think Joe Douglas is sort of trying to put an end to that.
Yep. I think he did that this year. I think it was pretty clear this year. That's what he did. He was holding firm on all. He was getting rid of all the nonsense with the Jets. And listen, we're going to hold tight to our contract offers. We're going to play hardball. We're not going to back down. We're going to do it his way, because he had to get rid of that appearance that we keep giving off. That we're always getting played by players, and we were always in the hunt but never got it done and used for leverage and everything else. And he had no choice. That's the situation he's in. But here's the question for you. It's like, all right, Joe Douglas did his moves in the draft, the free agency. What are your expectations for this team this year?
With this schedule and with this offensive coaching staff, which seems like it's a one-man coaching staff, and what we've done in the draft, I'm sticking to what I thought, and I see 6-10, 7-9. Now, unless something changes as far as opposing teams having key injuries, we stay incredibly healthy. It's always a variable. I see us 6-10, 7-9 tops.
Yep. No, I tend to agree. I don't. That's just calling it like you see it, man. When you're replacing 4/5 of your offensive line and you have question marks at wide receiver and question marks at the head coach. It's hard to we all want to be surprised, but it's hard to expect anything else at this point. Now, I think this is the most fun question I ask everybody is, if somebody asks you, what is it like to be a Jets fan? What is your answer?
Stockholm Syndrome. If people don't know what that is, that's when people get kidnapped or captured and end up basically, in love with the capturer or kidnapper, or they have a fondness for them. I became a Jets fan, and it's not something I would ever give up. I'm trying to drag my brother into it right now. He played football just like I did in high school, and he's always been more of a guy who likes to play sports instead of watching sports. But we have a good sized Jets group now here in Phoenix. There are 3. We started a newer one a couple of years ago, but I've been dragging him to watch the games. And the first game I remember I dragged him to was against Carolina, and I believe the Jets are winning by 10 or 13 points in the third quarter. And he's like, I don't know why all these people, say the Jets suck. They're playing great. And they're playing against a good Carolina team. And this is probably in 2015 or 16. And, everything's going great. And I remember this older guy from the corner wearing his old Jets jersey said, "Oh, just wait for it, kid. Just wait for it." And he goes, "What's he talking about?" I'm like, just wait for it. And the Jets score another touchdown or something, and they're up or a field goal at 17 points. And my brother's like, they're awesome. They're awesome. And the next series, I think we threw a pick 6. They scored. Anyway, we ended up losing the game. And he's like, how do you guys know that was going to happen? Like this, it always does. We know the script. You look at. I mean, I don't remember. There are very few playoff games that I remember. I mean, there's a handful, but very few that we had an easy time where we blew away. The win was never in doubt. I mean, you can rewatch these games on YouTube, and the Jets could be up 17 points, which they have been, and 10 points, and lose. We can never seem to get that. We can never seem to get up 21 or 24. We always stay within 2 possessions, and of course, usually give that up. And sometimes we come back, and sometimes we don't. But it's. I also tell people it's like a relationship where you just you love this woman, and she just doesn't love you back.
Yep. No, it's funny because we all go to games. Like I hang out with a bunch of different fans, and I have fans that are friends that are Cowboy fans and Saints fans, all stuff, and they'll sit and they'll be like, I don't know how you do it, man. I just don't know how you do it. They never really knew all the roller coaster ride it was. They watch games with me, and they're like, I can't believe the shit you deal with. I don't know how you survive year to year out after all these years. I'm like, dude, that's beer. Beer gets you through it because there's nothing. It's not sanity. You lose your sanity easily.
I mean, do you remember? I'm sure you remember. You probably. It was 2011. It was a can't wait game, and Sean Green runs it in, and you're thinking, this we got this one. There's 2 minutes left. We're up, I think, 28. By that point, it was 28 to, I don't know what it was, 28 to something, 28 to 10. And then it ends up coming down to where we have to get 2 onside kicks towards the end of the game. No, that was when Sean Green. No, that's when Cromartie got the ball and spit out and was out there. It seemed like forever. Cromartie ran the ball Then Sean Green ran it in. And even after that, there was another onside kick that they came down, I don't know, like 3 or 4 plays and scored. And there's never a moment where I sit there and can light the red Auerbach cigar, where this game's in the bag. And I don't know, maybe that's my drug, is that this team is it's never easy. But when we do win one, when we win another Super Bowl, I've heard you say you're probably not going to be at work for 2 weeks. I might take a month off.
I wouldn't know how to handle it, man. I would just be. And the thing is, everybody that knows us is going to expect it. Like, I'm just going to be partying my brains after 2 weeks. Like, I won't be. It's just going to be a world tour.
That's something. That's something I would fly back to New York for that parade. I mean, yeah. It's like my dad says to me. He goes, the first time your team won a Super Bowl, he calls them my team now. He doesn't even take credit for it anymore. But the next time the Jets won the Super Bowl, the first time they won, you were either in diapers or just out of diapers. Hopefully the next time they win, you're not back in diapers.
That's outstanding. Well, Dan, as we wrap this up, man, first of all, thank you very much for your time. What is the best way for all Jet fans to follow you and talk some football with you?
My Twitter is at Dan_Moskow, MOSKOW. And our Jets group here in Phoenix, we have a pretty good following. In fact, Mark Gastineau's dad, Ernie Gastineau, is part of our group here in Phoenix. And so we have a Facebook page. It's called New York Jets Fan Club of Phoenix, Arizona. And we have a great place to watch our games. We actually watch at one of the casinos, Casino Arizona. They have a sports bar there called Cavs Sports Bar. And they've got basically a movie projector with surround sound that we watch the game. We have our own section. And I'd also like to give a shout-out to my old Jets group up in Walnut Creek, California. And they're the Jets fans at the Stadium Pub in Walnut Creek. And these guys are all diehard Jets fans and live and die with the Jets. And I've had good times with them. And, that's where you can reach me. But I wanted to get a plug in for the groups and the places that take care of us when we're watching Jet games out here, either 2 or 3 hours difference in time from you guys.
Awesome. Well, Dan, once again, like I said, thank you for your time. I'll make sure we promote those fan clubs as well. And we'll do this again soon, man. We'll talk some football.
Yeah, I did. I think it was the last day of the draft with you guys, but then when the recap got moved back, I couldn't make it. I had to get on with my life. But yeah, it was fun, and hopefully, when you start the shows up again and there's things to talk about, hopefully I can get on the regular Tuesday show.
Absolutely, man. Have a good night, man. Thank you for the time.
You too. Thanks, Tyson.
You're welcome. All right, that was Dan Moskow. As always, if you want to follow this show, Let's Talk Jets Radio on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at Talk Jets Radio, and we'll talk to you next time.